Alright, so the other day I was just having a conversation with my family at the dinner table. We were chatting as most conversations go, and my mom asks my sister and I if she ever told us about the time she pushed someone off a subway train. My mom had never brought this up before, so naturally I'm curious. So I tell my mom she had not told us the story before, and that I was intrigued because why wouldn't I be? Imagine your mom telling you she once pushed someone off a subway train. Of course you'd be interested in hearing what happens. Anyway, so my mom's just telling me and my sister the story, and I just knew I had to tell it on the channel. So my mom grew up here in Canada, same as me. However, she did live in France for the 1984-85 school year. My mom was 14 at the time, her sister was 15, and her brother was 10. My uncle doesn't matter at all to the story, but my aunt somewhat does. Living in France was one of those situations where they did not sell their house in Canada, and they'd move back into it after their year in the other country was over. I actually got a friend who literally just moved to Italy in the same sort of way. Anyway, so obviously my mom and her two siblings had to go to school in France, which was a pretty weird experience for them. Going to a new school in general is a pretty weird experience, right? But in another country, especially one that has a different first language, it's just on a whole other level of weird experience. Since they were from Canada, they already knew French as a second language, so that made things quite a bit easier for them. One special perk living in France had is that my mom and her siblings got to skip English class, which is quite a big W. The reason they got to skip it is because English was their first language, and the things they taught in the class are just like basic English and stuff. Alright, so this event takes place about a month before my mom's family was supposed to fly back to Canada, and there was an end-of-year trip to go sightseeing for the 10th grade students, which included my aunt. But because she didn't have to take the English exams because she didn't take English, my mom got to go as well, despite being a whole year younger. To get to the place they needed to go, they had to take a subway, which would have freaked me out. I've been on a subway only a few times, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little scared of them. The reason they kind of scare me is because you can just find the sketchiest people in a subway, right? Like, for example, one time I was on a trip in British Columbia, and I had to take a subway to get somewhere, and there was a really creepily homeless-looking dude who was begging me, a 12-year-old at the time, for money. Now, since I was 12, I didn't give him any money because, well, I didn't have any money on me, as well as the fact that I was pretty scared of him. Luckily, my dad got me out of there, but that was still pretty scary. Point is, the subways are just a super sketchy place, and you're always going to find really weird people down there. Anyways, back to the story. So one important thing to note is that my mom had her purse and passport on her, which could make her a target for any of the sketchy people down in the subway. Anyway, so my mom, my aunt, and my aunt's class all go into one subway train like right before I was about to leave. I'm talking like 15 seconds before they were going to close the doors. However, because they got on so late, there was no room, so everyone stood holding onto one of those little strap things above their heads. That's another thing I don't like about subways. The fact that there's never any room. It's just so damn crowded. You can barely move. No one likes crowded places, right? Like, I hate them. I'm pretty sure you hate them. No one likes crowded places. So anyways, they're all huddling together, and my mom feels just a huge yank. She turns around, and there's a dude grabbing onto her purse, trying to pull it out of, like, pull it away. When my mom was telling me this, I was just shocked. Someone actually tried to mug my mother on a subway. That's absolutely crazy. Anyway, so this dude is just grabbing onto her purse and is about to make a jump for the doors, which were just about to close. But my mom, instead of screaming, help me, actually does something smart in this scenario. She yanks her purse back and then knees him right in the sensitive area. Now, as a male, I know from experience that getting hit in the sensitive area is just the greatest pain in existence. Nothing is comparable to it. Honestly, I gotta give props to my mom for actually thinking of that. One very smart way to fight off a dude is by hitting him in the sensitive spot, as the attacker will be just so blinded by pure pain and suffering that he'll forget you're even there. After my mom's attacker is in a lot of pain, she decides to push him, and he falls right out of the subway train. He jumps back angry, but the doors close with like a second to spare. If that didn't make my mom happy enough, everyone on the train just starts cheering for her. If I prevented someone from mugging me, and I pushed them out of the way with just seconds to spare, and then everyone started cheering for me, yeah, I feel pretty good about myself, you know? So my mom goes sightseeing with my aunt's class, and she enjoys it. And then they all head back to school, and then a few weeks later, my mom's family heads back to Canada, where she's lived ever since. Now, we know that this was a shorter story than usual, and I do apologize for that, But the fact is, the actual event that I'm telling the story of only happened over the span of like 20 seconds, right? So I stretched the video literally as much as I could without making it seem like it was too dragged. Again, the next video will be a longer one, I promise. But again, the source material for the story wasn't much, so I dragged it out as much as I could without making it seem like it's just moving at a really slow pace. Anyway, so that's going to do it for today's story. If you enjoyed the story, please make sure to share this video with someone you think is going to enjoy it. If you have a story you think is just going to be great for the channel, you think it'd be an entertaining video, DM me on my Instagram. The link is in the description. And if you thought this story was entertaining, I have a story about a time a kid in my friend's class spanked the principal. If you want to see that story, click the link on screen right now.